Good evening, 8th graders. This brief overview will give you background information on MLA citing for your in-text citations and the works cited page at the end of your research paper. You have researched from many sources, minimum 5, for the information in your paper, and now it's time to give credit to those sources, and we'll do it exactly, precisely as required. And that's the only difficult part, following something exactly. But it's not difficult. You all have the skills. Every one of you has the skills needed to do this correctly. You just have to take the time and pay attention to each detail. This is detail-oriented. MLA is in the 8th edition. It was 2nd edition when I was in high school, Modern Language Association. This will tell you how to cite every possible source you have. So be comforted in that. And let me just quickly go over some general reminders, because you have done this before. When you get to the end of your paper, you will have the works cited page. This is exactly what it should look like, only ours is in Times New Roman. That's the only difference. Everything here, all these specifics, are easy enough. This is your last page, so you'll have had at least probably 3 pages before this, so this will be, for most of you, 4 or 5, page 4 or 5 here. Your last name here, just as it has been on each of the previous pages, is in the header, 1/2 inch from the top. 1 inch from the top, centered, will be works cited. You'll hit return 1 time. You'll notice this is double space, this is double space, this is double space. There is no extra airing out of the information after works cited. Just hit once, and you go all the way to the 1 inch margin where most of your copy has been on the prior pages. What's tricky about works cited is that it goes backwards from regular paragraphs. The first word is against the margin. If your information goes to 2 lines, the second line gets indented. If it goes to 3, you maintain that indentation. So you'll start with what is the smallest item available, and in most cases that is the author's last name. Author's last name, comma, first name, and this is the full name here, Brent Hayes, period. What the author wrote, the literary Ellington, where it was found, and now we call that, MLA calls it, a container. And then the publishing information. All of this will be laid out for you in the book, so you don't have to memorize what goes next, what goes next, what goes next. What you should notice, though, is that there are, I see quotations. For bigger works, I see italics. Every entry will end in a period. So there are some givens there. Alphabetical order is maintained. We go back against the margin for the next author, Gaines, comma, Kevin, who wrote Duke Ellington, Black, Brown, and Beige, and the Cultural Politics of Race, period, inside the quote. Publisher, this is a book. There's a comma there, PP for pages, period, that's different, and 585 to 602, period. So this is just basically, here's a JSTOR is the database there that this was retrieved from. This is a book. So this is giving you a couple different methods, sources, and how you cite them. But it's very straightforward. It's not difficult. What's new in the 8th edition is when you have an online work, you don't start the online source, the URL, with HTTP or HTTPS. That's gone. You'll just start with www. You will not include the brackets either. Let's see what else here. The containers are explained on the MLA source. A container is just a larger source to hold another. For example, here's an article within a book, and other contributors, that would be an editor, for example, edited by. When you don't have something, you leave it blank. So that's another difference. You don't put the NA or the ND there. I want to show you a couple examples of real work cited from prior students. This was, let's see, that student had her name here, and page 4. Works cited is exactly right. And if you look, you see alphabetically, the authors go A to W, and she also had an article without an author, and so it just lines up alphabetically where it belongs after WE, WH. What's the price tag for a college education and where it came from? We won't see these anymore. We just don't have that anymore. You don't have to have web or print anymore. That has gone by the wayside. You'll see that she was flush left with the margin here and then indented for each line that needed it. This one didn't, and so this was just a one-line citation, so it didn't need to go to 2, but the others did. That's about it for that one. Here's one with some problems. So I want you to see what doesn't look good, what you don't. This is the don't paper. It did have last name and the page we're up to 3. I would assume most of your papers will be 3 pages, so for most of you this will be 4 or 5 up here. For your works cited, whoops, you need to type works cited. It should be an inch from the top. On this first source, the student did have the author flush left, but whoops, look what she did over here. Indented, and then went back. And while this may seem more logical to us, it's not MLA. So we just have to follow the instructions, So I want you to see one done not correctly so that you see the difference. And then this is an example from the MLA website that shows you how to do a whole one. Real quickly, most of these are authored. Here's one that's not. This is how to cite a dictionary entry. And this little peculiar one here with the 3 dashes, that means it's the same author. So if you are citing 2 works by the same author, the first time you list the person's name and what he or she wrote. The next time you just go hyphen, 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 period, space, and then what the person wrote. And so these are listed in alphabetical order according to the title. It's the same author, that stays the same. What did she write? Mansfield Park to Cassandra Austin. And that is all I wanted to go over with you on this, besides reminding you that we don't keep the NDs for no date or NA not applicable. We just move on. For your in-text citations, you will cite and then you'll put the parentheses with the author's last name or the first keywords from the title. And that is all there is to that. The period goes after. We'll discuss it more. We'll go over it more. Happy working on your MLA, and I look forward to seeing you in class tomorrow. Thank you.